Hey guys, it's Nikki from Two Tribes Primal Living, and so the past 24 hours or a little bit less than have been pretty trying in terms of energies, things going down, happening, um, from everything from yesterday. We did the video on the greenhouse to just coming up the mountain. Our spare tire fell off and rolled down the mountain, and we had to drive down and pick it up. So there's things that have gone on in between. So what I want to share or talk to you about today is kind of the flip side of the coin that Albert spoke about a couple weeks ago with Stoicism. The opposite side, or the flip side of that coin, is emotions, and finding the harmony or the balance in between being stoic or being overly emotional. And today is a perfect example. It just fell right into my lap this morning, or should I say last night. So I know you probably can't see directly behind me that there's a piece of OSB on the chicken coop behind me. And last night we had laid down, and we always let the chickens, these little guys right here, they put themselves up in the coop. They don't like to be put up before they're ready. And so we let them put themselves up, and we come up and we shut the door that you see behind me and lock them in. We pull all their stuff in, and it's just a process. So last night we fed them some leftover rice, happy chickens, and I wasn't feeling super good last night, and Albert said, oh, let me go to close the coop. Okay. So I was laying in bed, and he comes back down. It was a little bit longer than normal, so I just assumed he was up here hanging out with the girls. And he says to me, baby, there are 4 chickens dead in the yard, and there's a huge hole torn in the fence. And I'm like, what? No. And started putting on my shoes. He's like, you don't want to go up and look at that. And I said, no, I do, I need to. So I walked up here. It still makes me a little sad, but I walked up here, and there were babies. There were probably 6 babies, and feathers. Like, I've still got a piece of one right here. They were everywhere. They were strewn around, and it was really sad. It was really sad. And so what you're seeing is true emotion, not for chickens, but for life. And understanding that whether it's a dog or a chicken or a human, emotional expression is a natural and normal part of humanity. It is a beautiful thing, and it really helps us when we can process emotions and move through them. And everyone's got a different schedule on processing emotions, but when we can move through those emotions, we heal. And that shit that goes on in our lives that went down 2 years ago or 10 years ago or last week, or I'm so over him or I'm so over her, it's all gone when you can process emotions. I always say, when you feel it, you heal it, and I believe that. So continuing with these guys, you're out here in the wild, you grab a bag, you just buck it up, and you put them little bodies in the baggie, and you'll dispose of them tomorrow. What are you going to do? It's midnight, and what are you going to do? So we looked around, and there's places where this has been pulled apart, tried to be opened, and we were like, wonder what could have caused that. What dug over the head? Oh, the hole was about this this wide or this deep and probably about that wide, and it just ripped all the baling wire from across and ripped this huge hole in the fence. And that's where the OSB is back there. We kind of baling wired it back up just temporarily, and I'll get to that why. But the hole was huge, and it's like, coyote, what the hell's out here, coyote, so the emotional roller coaster in that moment was, oh my gosh, my girls, to I'm pissed, what the hell did this, okay, what are we gonna do, what are we gonna do? There's really nothing you can do. So we didn't patch it up. We shut the girls' door. Of course, they were inside. They were scared to death, and we went back down to the cabin. And it was shocking. And I cried. I cried, and he laid there. We talked a little, and talked about what we're feeling, and expressed what we're feeling at that moment. He didn't cry. He doesn't cry. I cry, and I'm okay with that. And he doesn't cry, and I'm okay with that too, because he's exactly who he needs to be. He doesn't have to cry. It's not manly to cry, and it's not manly to cry, and it's not girly bullshit if you cry, and it's not showing tough side if you don't cry. It's emotions. It's emotions processing. So if you're stoic, you don't really have those emotions to process. If you're truly stoic, you don't feel. You don't have those feelings. You're not putting off those energies. And when you are empathic, like myself, you feel the energy of the earth. You feel the energy of this piece of wood. You feel the energy of these babies right there, the dogs, the trees. Not necessarily just bad, but good too. It's overwhelming, and it's beautiful. And I might show tears because I am so happy to be here and see all this beautiful stuff in front of me. So we went back down there and laid down. I was crying, so I was processing my emotions. He was laying there beside me, and being the best husband and supportive husband that he could be. And he was processing his emotions, however that is for him. And nobody out there gets to dictate how he processes his emotions and how I process mine. And so we just held space for one another and had respect for one another in that time. Again, I'm very in tune with emotions because I understand. It's like being in a room. You sit in a room and someone walks in, and you immediately feel their energy. It's not just whether they're in a bad mood or good mood. You're like, oh, that's a child molester. Ooh, that's a husband beater. Ooh, that's a loser. I mean, there's so many different energies. It's hard to put labels on them impromptu. But I feel that, and I always have. I've been taught in my past not to feel. That's too much. Don't say that. You don't need to cry. Get over it. You need to be strong. All of those words that are used to, whether it's man or woman, to reduce their capabilities and their moment of processing emotions, whether it's yours or someone else's. So as an empath, I've learned to bubble up, and when someone else's energy comes in, I start to feel it for myself, and then I'm like, oh, that's not mine, and I'm aware of what's mine and what's not, but I still have to ascertain what it is. So we're laying there and holding space and respecting one another's processing, and we hear noise, and well, I'd asked him, how you feeling? What are you feeling? And he's like, I'm feeling like I need to go sit up there in the truck and wait for whatever it was in case it comes back. And I'm like, do what you got to do. Get the gun, go up there, sit in the truck, and you do that. And he lay there for a while, and then we heard a noise. And so he gets up, and I'm like, there's something up there. It came back. And he gets up, he grabs the gun, walks out, locks me into the cabin because we didn't want the dog to get out. I'm assuming, walked up here, and within 45 seconds, there was a huge gun blast. And another, I would say, 10 minutes passed. And I was locked in the cabin. I'm looking out, trying to see what's going on. And here, maybe he's calling for me if something happened to him. I wasn't scared. I was more worried. And again, I'm talking emotions. So I was not scared for him. He's a strong man. I've got his back. He's got my back, and neither one of us worry about the other one in terms of being afraid. Don't do that because that's going to be so bad. Other than him standing up on a ladder up there, But even then, it's like he's confident, and I can't break his confidence by imparting upon him my emotions while he is confident in what he's doing. And I'll get to the word confident too, because he used that word later on. He came back down to the cabin, and he walked in, and he's like, "It's a bear." And I was like, "Holy shit. What do you mean it's a bear?" He's like, "It's a bear." And I shot at it. I don't know if I hit it. I aimed right at it. Of course, it's pitch black out here. There's no street lights. There's no city lights. There's no, we had moonlight last night, which kind of makes things a little more ominous, really, because that moon out here is bright, bright, bright. And he said that he could see the shadow of the bear, and he just aimed at the movement. It was inside the coop when he saw it, and it was trying to open the coop door. If you know anything about bears, which I only know vicariously through him because I think I encountered a bear in a past life, but they are 100 to 400 or 500 pounds or more, especially black bear, which is probably what we have out here most of, black and brown. They have very, very sharp teeth, very, very sharp claws. They're very, very powerful, very strong, and very smart. And so, yeah, bears, they try to avoid people as a general rule. But he got in here. Albert saw him in here. He shot him in here, and the bear took off. The bear took off running. And you can't pursue. It's forest back behind us, so there's no place to go. And, all these emotions washed over me in that moment. And I did experience fear for a brief second. I experienced all kinds of stuff. And I was like, holy shit, these poor babies. And so all these visuals started going through my head about, what they probably encountered in those moments before. They're chickens, so I know they're not humans, and I'm fully aware of that, but they're still life. And animals are here for our consumption, yes. Animals are here, whether it's a bear, whether it's a chipmunk, whether it's a chicken. But we are here to respect. We have to respect the trees. We have to respect nature in general. And so, I started thinking about, wow, what these guys must have endured, which explains why there was bodies slung everywhere. A couple of them had been completely decapitated. And again, like I said, there's feathers still. I lost six good-sized reds. We have one red left out of 5, and then a little bitty one who just got slung against the fence, not a wound on her, and then a black and white one that had a little puncture wound under the wing, so I'm guessing it was it's like freaking out, and the bear swatted it. But the other ones had been completely decapitated and just ripped apart. And he ate all the food. He ate all the chicken food. So, again, a second wave of emotions ran through me because that was a whole different bear. And, Albert and I talked. He's like, I need to go sit up there. And I'm like, you go do what you got to do. And he sat up here probably 2 hours. And I couldn't sleep. I'm a wreck today because I've had probably 2.5 hours of sleep. He got a little bit more. He was able to sleep. Once the daylight breaks for me, I cannot sleep. If I get woken up, I cannot sleep. He can go back to sleep. So I just was up processing. I came up and I spent some time with the girls and processing my healing. Hi Bertha, how you doing? And so they're chickens. I had to get onto them like, quit eating your sister. There was pieces of her everywhere. one of them, and they were just like picking the feathers, and because they're chickens. Um, they're not intelligent animals, although they can recognize me and my voice, and they know, and they experience fear and all kinds of stuff. They just return just like any other animal. Oh, I'm so glad that crocodile over there got that water buffalo and not me, so I'm gonna go back to grazing or whatever. That's what they were doing. But you know, being able to process that, I have to sit with these emotions. I have to sit with these feelings. I have to sit with these tears and visuals and what they must have felt, how I feel, how my husband might feel. Not that he's coming to me and saying, "Hey, I feel this way," but just the possibilities. And in order to do those things, you have to heal yourself. And I say it again, in order to heal yourself, you must feel. If you are somebody who doesn't express emotions a lot, that's okay. It doesn't mean you don't feel. You just process them differently. So anyway, today it hasn't been 24 hours. We've had a few more ups and downs. It kind of rained, and we're driving down the mountain, and the brakes he just put on the car, something was happening with the caliper, and it was sticking, and so we had to drive it back up the mountain really super slow so it didn't overheat. Plus we're under a fire ban, and so you definitely don't want that on your setting a forest fire because you stopped over grass. I mean, you have to be cognizant of these things up here, which requires emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to see other people's emotions, outside of the empathic. Not, I think we all have empathic abilities. I just think not everyone is an empath, and that is completely different than having empathy. Empathy is a completely thing. I empathize with my girls, but I felt their energies, even the past girls that were slaughtered last night. I felt their energies. The lady I walked into, going into the store today, I felt their energies. That's what being an empath is, which again is on the opposite side of being empathic or being empath and having empathy. But going when that break started seizing up, I could sense, and he's tired, I'm tired, so there was really no tension today, because we're processing a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions out here. So I guess what I really wanted to hone in on or summarize is that, emotions are a normal and necessary part of life. Based on your birth, I'm an avid believer of birth charts, and I do birth chart readings, but based on your birth chart, and everything has a birth chart. This tree had a birth chart. Everything, every government, every system has a birth chart. But based on your birth chart, you have certain emotional dispositions based on the planets and the stars and all that, whether you believe it or not. You already have that. It's your personality. And so some people are more emotional and expressive with their emotions. Some people are more emotional and internalize their emotions. Some people are not emotional but are expressive. And some people are not emotional and internalize. So you have the spectrum of emotional responses to things. But emotions, whether you have 296,000 like me, or you have 3 like him, they're real, and they are valuable, and they must be felt and talked about and dealt with and processed in your way without anyone else telling you what's okay. Had I been in a different experience, someone might have told me they're just chickens. Get over it. he never did that. He never once said that, which, that's the respect we have as husband and wife for one another. And it's a glorious thing. But he allowed me to process my 200,000 emotions through my experience. And I allowed him to process his 3 emotions through his experience. He really didn't send off any energy vibes. He wasn't sending out any energy to me. He didn't put off a feeling of sadness. As an empath, I'm able to read most people, almost all people, especially if I'm in a close proximity to them. And almost every time my intuition has been right. Sometimes I say it in the beginning, and we have to let it ride out its course before it's reality. But I already knew it was coming. He's not there, but he doesn't mean that he doesn't put out an energy of the stoicism he talked about, but he didn't put off sadness. Doesn't mean he wasn't sad. It just means he didn't put off sadness, whereas I put off tears because that was my expression and my processing of sadness. So as you move and grow through life, whether it's the crap that's going on in the world right now, you lose a loved one, a pet, I've lost pets, and I had to process my emotions. Your dumb chickens, which I love very much. I love being a chicken mama. It's rewarding. Whether I'm separated from somebody like my son, whether there's just a variety of things that can happen in all of our lives and at given times, with the crap going on right now in the world. We all feel inside, outside, to completely not feel except for yourself. Yeah, that's on the cusp of narcissism. There's way more layers to it than that. But to feel within, not without, but within, you're feeling. You can't be narcissistic and feel. So as the stuff's going on in the world right now, take some time. Take some time and reflect upon a situation. Are you feeling so that you can heal? Are you processing through it, or are you just shutting it out? Or do you believe that it's again, they're just fucking chickens? Well, they're not. They're human. They're life. They're not human life, but they're life. Just like my dog sitting on the other side of the camera. They're life. Every bird, even the bear, is life. And I don't have any attachment to the bear. I really don't have any attachment to the chickens, except, I just got to process the grief, which is, you'll still see a few, and it slowly goes away. But I'm processing it, and I guess that's what I'm here to really hone in on. Don't allow yourself to become so devoid of emotional expression if you are an expressive person. Don't allow yourself to be told you're too much. There is no too much emotion. Out of balance, anybody, if it's my bicep and my tricep, if it's out of balance and I've got too much bicep on one side and not enough tricep, that's where you see all the women who are like, oh, hey, get rid of this. You want to balance. I want to balance my abs with my low back core. I want to balance my quads with my hamstrings. And I'm using my profession as a reference. But to balance out how we process emotions and how we feel is different for everybody. To go off into a dark secret cave and never express for the entire rest of your life in any form or fashion because you don't want to offend anybody is not healthy. And being a ranting lunatic on the other side of the spectrum, screaming because there's a bug crawling on the ground and you're just laid out freaking out, that's not really appropriate either. There's so many variables in there So find your balance, find your center, stop and reflect, process how you process, and realize that as you feel, things will start falling away. Issues from the past will start falling away. Feelings about other people, they will start falling away as if they never existed. And you won't be attached to them any longer. And whenever you let go of that, and you heal appropriately through feelings and emotions, then life becomes this beautiful tool full of a cornucopia of feelings, good and bad. I don't even like to call them bad. I mean, grief is not a bad thing. Grief is a beautiful thing. Death is not a bad thing. Death is a beautiful tool. And the feelings that go with it are a beautiful thing. Sadness is not a bad thing. Solitude is not a bad thing. Anger is not a bad thing. All of these things, it's how you use them. Envy, jealousy, irritation, those are not bad things. They are just processes of emotion, and they're opportunities for you to reflect. So, in closing or in summary, try to be cognizant of your own emotions, and are you allowing yourself to process? Try to be cognizant of how you treat others and their emotions. Do you call them names? Do you tell them they're crazy? Do you tell them they're too much, too sensitive, too over the top? Here you go with your drama. Or do you take some time and go, that's who they are. They need to process it. Again, out of balance, you can't. That's not your issue, unless it's you that's out of balance. So that being said, another day out here, off grid, dealing with life as it happens for a very empathic and spiritually aware, awake, and emotional person. Emotionally balanced and healthy person too. But 6 less babies, 6 less girls. They're just not even quite 4 months old yet. But we'll recover and we'll be good. They don't seem to even, they don't know anything. So subscribe to the video, like it. You can share it all over the world. I think people need to be in tune. Just share our stuff that you see. We're real people. And if you want to receive updates, ring the bell. And until next emotion, we'll see you.